One of the most underrated parts of Watch Dogs. One wasn't the hacking, the story, or even the city itself. It was the random crime system. This little detail turned Chicago into more than just a backdrop. It made the world feel alive, unpredictable, and even personal in ways most open-world games weren't even attempting back in 2014. As Aiden Pearce, you're constantly scanning people, and sometimes the profiler alerts you to a potential crime about to happen. You'd see an NPC arguing on the street, or you'd catch data that hinted someone was about to mug, rob, or attack another character. And here's where it got interesting. You had a choice. Do you intervene? Do you ignore it? Or do you wait until the last possible second to see how it plays out? Suddenly, you weren't just following a scripted mission. You were shaping the city moment to moment. The beauty of this system was how unscripted it felt. These weren't missions with checkpoints and cutscenes. They popped up in random alleys, parking lots, train stations, and quiet neighborhoods. Sometimes you'd sprint across traffic to save someone. Other times, you'd miss your chance, and the game would make you live with it. That unpredictability created tension. It wasn't about whether you could stop every crime. It was about whether you were fast enough or paying attention enough to actually do it. What's wild is how personal it could get. Because of the profiler, you weren't just stopping faceless NPCs. You'd scan the victim and learn their backstory. Maybe they were a struggling single parent. Maybe they were drowning in debt. Maybe they were unemployed. Suddenly, the stakes felt real. You weren't just stopping a random crime. You were saving a character who felt like they had a life beyond the game. And that made the moment hit harder. The other layer here was morality. Watch Dogs. One didn't shove a morality meter in your face, but your actions changed how the city saw you. If you ignored too many crimes, the news painted you as reckless. If you stepped in, people called you a vigilante hero. It wasn't perfect, but it gave the illusion that Chicago was watching your choices. And that illusion still works in 2025. Looking back, this system was way ahead of its time. Tons of open-world games have dynamic events now, but few pull it off as seamlessly as Watch Dogs 1 did. These crimes weren't just filler. They captured the game's core theme of surveillance, morality, and responsibility. You had the power to intervene, but the game never let you forget the weight of choosing when and how to act. That's why even years later, revisiting Watch Dogs, one reminds you that it wasn't just a hacking simulator or a story about revenge. It was a city that felt alive because you were never sure what might happen next, and whether you'd be the one to step in when it did. Another thing that made these crimes special was how they broke up the routine. You could be driving to a mission or just exploring, and suddenly your profiler pings. Someone's in danger. That interruption pulled you right back into the role of vigilante, reminding you that Chicago wasn't just your playground, it was a city constantly in motion. It gave the game a pulse, and it kept you on edge everywhere you went.